Hey, everybody. Welcome to Comic Book Curation. I am Polydub, and joining me belatedly after Christmas, the one and only Inquisitor 8.1. Quiz, how are you doing on this Boxing
Uh,
Day everywhere in the Anglosphere but America?
um, I was I I had the other video turned on, so I kept on hearing you twice. it killed my brain for a second.
That was great. I'm like, what happened, man? Did you forget where you are? What you doing?
Just a little.
That was great. Okay. So how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm trying to play with my Christmas toys while I can before I have to go back to work.
Ah, nice. And joining us as well, of course, is Jack from Bad Comic Reviews. Link in the description. Jack, how the hell are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. Terribly. Thank you for asking.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, it was one of those days. I got wrangled into a bunch of Christmas family stuff, ongoing holiday stuff, and I am tired as hell. I just want to go to bed, but I can't because I have to stream and then pack for I am getting on a plane tomorrow morning. And I don't want to do any of these things except sleep. So yeah, I'm doing terribly, but you know, I'm here.
Well, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, well. And unlike Inquisitor, I will not have a chance to play with my Christmas toys. I will be leaving them here while I go away. And that's sad. So what Christmas toys did you get, Jack?
I didn't get anything for Christmas.
Not even a lump of coal?
Nope.
You got nothing.
I got nothing.
Is that why you're on eBay shopping for comics? Like you're buying yourself
I'm
presents?
buying my own Christmas presents. Fuck everybody else.
Let's see. Who has doing a little roll call here? We got Mule and 1066. Yeah. Well, God, I feel so bad. Mule's always here and we're always late. Jack.
Yeah, keep believing that.
We're in Lotus. Johnny Hellcat. Someone named Bad Comic Reviews stream. Sounds like an asshole. Yeah. And Hey Camel. And Rotten Corpse. Nice. How's it going? So where do we want to start today? Should we... Okay, so I'm over here at Bounding Into Comics, and I'm looking at their Disney's Aladdin first look is a train wreck. Will Smith's genie needs some major work. Now, is that supposed to read as a question mark? Will Smith's genie need major work? Or is it, doesn't he spell his first name with one L?
I don't know. That's just bad editing, probably.
He's your favorite guy, Polly, so you would know.
Well, I don't. Well, he's actually quite the opposite of that. He's not my favorite guy at all. Hold on, make sure.
You don't like Will Smith?
I do not.
Sarcasm, Polly. It was sarcasm.
I don't either.
I'm not a big fan of the guy. I think he's good in the Will Smith roles, but not so good.
He plays Will Smith in every movie.
That's what I'm saying. Like there's certain roles where, playing Will Smith works great. And then there's Suicide Squad.
Yeah. I didn't hate Suicide Squad.
Well, I didn't say I hated it. I just said that Will Smith was in it and thus, like, okay, he was great in, whatchamacallit, the shooty movie with the aliens there. What was it called?
Yeah, are you thinking of Men in Black?
Well, that actually fits what I just said, but no, not that one.
He's thinking Independence Day.
Independence Day, yeah.
Oh. Yeah, but that was like a popcorn movie, and he wasn't the entire cast. Like, they had an ensemble cast in that.
True. But I'm just trying to think of a movie that I saw him in where I was like, yeah, that's the kind of role he should be playing. Men in Black, that's absolutely the kind of role he should be playing. The guy who's there to say, damn, when something happens,
Damn!
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of his entire personality, isn't it?
Sort of. Like, it's not that he's not a charismatic guy. He totally is. It's just, which leads me to think, like, okay, he's a charismatic Joker. So therefore, wouldn't he play a good genie? I don't know. I've never even seen Aladdin, the animated film.
Really?
No.
And I thought Quiz was the communist Russian.
Oh, we need to rectify that, Polly, because
Is it because you hate Middle Easterners?
Yeah, I think it is.
That's what I just heard.
What are you trying to say? That there's like jihadi propaganda throughout Aladdin?
Well, yeah.
Oh my God. I had no
That's
idea.
what I got out of it. I don't know about anybody else.
You wanted to do a jihad after watching Aladdin?
No, I just assumed that that's what was really going on, behind the scenes, the underlying story of it.
Well, let's see what's happening here, according to our friends
Let's
at Bounding
change
into
the
Comics.
subject really quickly.
Yeah. Jacob Navo says X-Force #1 is meh. I was expecting worse. I
art is
actually
not good.
What's that? Yeah. Welcome to 2018.
Where the best you can hope for is I expected worse.
Sneeze, excuse me. Yeah, I was expecting worse. So maybe that's why I was going into it going, oh God, this is gonna be awful. And it really wasn't. I was just, by the time I got to the end of it, it was just, no, it was all right. It left me wanting more, not because I was really interested in the characters, but because it ended kind of suddenly. It was just like, I expected there to be 2 more pages of story and there wasn't. Have you guys read it yet?
That's because they're writing for the trade, and that was just where part 1 ended.
You think so?
Yeah.
Part one ended with issue 1? No. This was issue #1.
Yep. There was a good Cemetery Beach is a really good example of that. Warren Ellis's new Image book.
Okay.
Issue 1 or issue 2 rather just ends. There's no, like, somebody throws a grenade, like literally the last panel is somebody throwing a grenade. Issue just ends. It looks like they wrote and drew as a graphic novel and then just sliced it up into sections and was like, man, this is where this one ends.
Yeah, I mean, it just, I was, the way it kind of ended wasn't like, what are we going to do? It's like, okay, let's go get them. And I was, okay.
But we'll do it next issue.
Well, no, it's just X-Force was certainly left in a bad spot. I mean, they portray themselves as, we're not the mutants that you like. We're the mutants you should be afraid of. Well, yeah, it was actually kind of an interesting take on it where, it's like, I know you hate all the muties because you think we're dangerous. Actually, most of us are superheroes fighting to protect people like the X-Men, but we're not the X-Men. Yeah,
we're the sex men.
That's got to be a porn, right?
I hope so. If not, somebody get on that.
I mean, that's such an obvious pun. Yeah, you'd think. So Disney's Aladdin first look is a train wreck. Will Smith's Genie need major work? ?
Is there an actual question there?
No. It says Will Smith's Genie needs major work, and I'm just kind of playing with the intent of their words. Disney released the first look at their upcoming live-action adaptation of the classic animated film that Polly hasn't seen, and it looks like a massive train wreck. If this is what Disney has to offer, my faith in the final product simply isn't there, says Jorge Arnares. I believe he's a Jorge. Somebody who had their name spelled like that told me off, where it's like, we're not all Jorges, and I was like, okay, fuck, whatever.
You keep telling yourself that, Jorge. You'll always be Jorge to me.
So anyway, this is Will Smith, you douchebag. Look at him.
That looks like cultural appropriation.
I'm willing to bet that's where his actual hairline is at this point.
yeah, probably.
I'm an asshole. But I agree with you, Jack. The woman's pretty hot. She's
cute. I did it. And why isn't Aladdin Asian? Like Asian, Chinese Asian?
Why would he be?
Because the story is from China.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the original Aladdin story is from like China, and it was put into it drifted over to the Middle East, and it was included in the Arabian Nights, but the story's from China or Mongolia or somewhere like that.
Shocking appropriation.
I know, right? Although if Aladdin wears a suicide vest in this, I'm totally gonna watch it.
Yeah. I mean, that sort of thing, you know, being in a movie, especially that kind of movie is just shocking enough to be okay. I would be all right with that.
What if the flying carpet says prayer mat?
Straight Sith male. What? Why don't you just admit that you're wrong about Will Smith? Never. Is this on his left ear supposed to be an earring, or did they just fuck up with the background text for? Oh, look at this Entertainment Weekly, and they've got a little genie lamp in the E. Oh God, that's so bad.
Oh, that's kind of cringy.
That really is bad.
And no, that's supposed to be an earring.
I don't want to go look at Entertainment Weekly. It's like new photos and scoops on, I think.
No, they're cheering on some ice cream dude. Scoop on!
Well,
Scoop on!
You can do it!
No, but is that a spelling mistake on their fucking cover?
Probably. Would you expect anything less?
Holy shit, that's bad. Photos and scoop on. See, Deadwood. Wait, hold on. Deadwood.
Didn't that get canceled like 10 years ago?
I don't think it was a full 10 years ago, but yeah, like, I mean, HBO ran 3 seasons. It was fucking awesome. I don't know what the hell you're talking all funky for. Deadwood was incredible.
No, it was. I only saw the first 2 seasons, but it was good. It was just, you know, it was just too good. They had to cancel it.
Yeah, that's
like
why.
Carnival.
Never saw that.
That was good. It was starting to get somewhere, and then canceled.
I don't know where to start. That's wrong. I do. First and foremost, Will Smith's genie looks terrible. Well, he shows his face. That's where it begins. Let's start with the costume. There's no secret that he is competing with the
legend. Sorry, I just read what Hey Camel put in the chat. I'm not reading that.
How long until somebody writes a hit piece on the new Aladdin for literally having a magical Negro? Oh shit.
Sorry.
Okay.
That was my fault.
Let's start with the costume. There's no secret that he's competing with the legendary image of Robin Williams' genie. A tall order, I would say. Yeah, okay. Well, he has the cards stacked against him from the start. That doesn't excuse Disney from at least attempting to give Smith's genie its own unique feel and flavor. Yeah, the original genie does have a top knot. Well, sort of. He's kind of got like a flowing knot. Where's Genie's got an awesome spit curl in his beard. Where's Will Smith's awesome spit curl?
He ain't got one.
Look at this stupid smiling moron. What a goofball. He's just such a goofy guy, Will Smith. Anyway.
Friends just don't understand, Polly.
And the genie looks just terrible. Reminds me of the disaster was Apocalypse from X-Men. Apocalypse. Like in that movie.
Apocalypse that was an apocalypse.
That's the sentence. It reminds me of the disaster that was Apocalypse from X-Men Apocalypse.
Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Alpacalypse?
Like in that movie, it would have been easier just to hire a cosplayer to dress Smith up instead of using whoever they used to make this mess. At best, the genie without CGI looks like something I could get from the Spirit Halloween store. It's so cold with the shade you're throwing. Disney can do better. Can they? Can they, though? All you have to do is look at the live-action adaptation of Beauty and the Beast. Never saw it. To see that indeed Disney knows how to CGI these sorts of supernatural creatures. Why? Who was CGI'd in Beauty and the Beast? The Beast?
I assume so.
Why couldn't they just get Ron Perlman? That guy looks subhuman, like going to 7-Eleven.
Do you ever see him in Chariots of Fire? Or Quest for Fire? It was Quest for Fire. Where he plays a Neanderthal.
No way. He actually plays a Neanderthal.
Yeah. And you're looking at everybody else, you're like, wow, that dude's makeup is really good. Why isn't anyone else like, oh.
If you guys in chat, and ladies, if there's ladies in chat, don't know what Ron Perlman looks like, look him up. Yeah, it's
who doesn't know what Ron Perlman looks like? Come on.
It's possible. It's possible. You don't know. You're a fan. That's why you know what he looks like.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and defend his looks because these guys are absolutely right. I just think that Ron Perlman's a good actor.
He is a good actor. But if you want to know what he looks like, just imagine albino Valerie Jarrett. Zing!
Wow. Here's a picture from Quest for Fire, 1981.
I've never seen Quest for Fire. I'm aware of its existence. Yep. I didn't know Ron Perlman was in it.
Look at this picture. He just grew his hair long.
Hold on. Let's see. Just give me a second here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pictures of him. Like, oh, that's a terrible one. Look, see, it's just Ron Perlman with long hair. That's all.
It really is.
That
guy has a very thickened forehead, man. It's
very thick forehead and very square jaw. That's the reason why he made such a good Hellboy, is because they didn't need very much makeup. That's a headshot of Ron Perlman.
Oh, Jesus.
And remember, he pees on his hand so he can shake Harvey Weinstein's hand.
Johnny Hellcat has a point. If you're blind, you don't know what Ron Perlman looks like.
Yeah.
Well, you're not missing anything. If you're blind, you're just think of the weirdest, bumpiest thing you've ever felt, and that's his face.
Good old Ron Jerlman. Okay, so
Ron Jerlman?
Yeah.
He was in Ice Pirates too.
What's that?
Ice Pirates?
We're supposed to be talking about comic books here. At least this Aladdin thing's tangentially related.
Ice Pirates was like a live-action comic book. It had space herpes.
Space herpes.
What?
Oh my God! Oh man, I have to educate you on everything awesome in the 80s.
Are you like defining like any disease that came from space as space herpes?
No, it's literally called. It's a comedy movie. It's called.
It's like the Andromeda strain is like space AIDS.
Kind of, but it's literally a space herpes is like this thing that runs around their ship. They got a space herpes on their ship. See, there's all sorts of 80s actors you'd recognize in here. This is a great movie. It's so silly and fun.
So let's see what all you have to do is look at the live act. Oh yeah, I already read that. Boss Logic was also disappointed in the way Genie was first presented to us. Who's Boss Logic? Is that another writer bounding into comics?
Hard to say. No.
Apparently, it's a tweeter.
Boss Hog.
Boss Logic. For him, the Genie. That sounds like a statement meaning mic drop that never caught on. You hit someone with a good point, and you're like, Boss Logic. You know,
Boss Logic.
It's just stupid enough to be like that. Hashtag Boss Logic.
Hashtag.
For him, the Genie lacking its blue was eye-catching for him. What? It actually reads that. I was like, no, I had to have read that wrong. For him, the Genie lacking its blue was eye-catching for him, though it appears they tried to make the Genie blue through the color of his suit for him. And he took all of that out of Boss Logic's tweet that reads as follows. Genie ain't blue.
Wow. That's some deep philosophical shit there.
I think you read into what Boss Logic wrote, because Boss Logic had 3 words and one of them isn't even a word.
I'm pretty sure that is a sentence like the special needs kid would say too. Genie ain't blue.
So, Boss Logic, so of course he had to put a stop to that and add his own fix, which does help quite a lot. A splash of blue, smiley face. Okay. In an update by Boss Logic, what is this, your fucking boyfriend? What is this?
I know, right? Fucking Boss Logic, man. More about him than is about the fucking Aladdin.
Okay.
Don't mock Boss Logic.
It's apparently the end all be all of the knowledge of,
whoever this is, like Quiz Jack, we're missing out, man. We're not up to date because Boss Logic apparently has all the hot takes, and we're missing out.
I'm gonna look up Boss Logic right now.
Okay, you do that.
I'm gonna go ahead and continue living in the dark about who Boss Logic is.
Guys, we ain't shit, just so you know. Okay, we're just terrible people.
We ain't shit because we're not Boss Logic. Incorporated, BossLogicInc.com.
God, are you serious?
Okay. I can't believe we actually expect people to show up and listen to us do this. This is incredible. Our audience members are
People
the most
listen to
generous
us?
people.
Are we live?
We are live. That's what I'm saying. Okay, yeah. For those of you listening right now and those of you in the future, when I said that the idea behind the stream was we were just going to take the conversations we have offline and broadcast them, like, yeah.
Now, seriously, I'm glad I looked up Boss Logic. I'm just saying.
Oh,
just
God.
saying.
Okay,
because it's probably one of my favorite memes that I've never seen.
Okay.
Elon Musk's smoke.
All right, that's pretty funny.
How many followers and such does Boss Logic have?
That dude's got a blue check mark.
Oh yeah, he's blue check. Boss Logic has 148,000 followers, and he's following 2,911.
Do you think? Now Boss Logic is instantly Mundane Matt's archenemy.
Why?
I've decreed it because he's got a blue check mark and followers. And he's not bleeding.
I've got this Instagram picture here blocked because I'm running no script because you should run no script.
Yes,
anyway.
should, yes.
But I don't really care what the picture is because it's something that Will Smith sent out on IG, so I don't really care. But the text beneath it is bam. In other words, damn. First look at the genie, Princess Jasmine, and hashtag Aladdin. Check me rocking the top knot ponytail. Vibes in Entertainment Weekly. And yes, I'm gonna be blue. This is just the genie in his human/disguise form. My character will be CGI for most of the movie. So in other words, they're blue facing you.
He's appropriating Smurf culture.
It's awful.
Appropriating Smurf culture like that without consent is that's like Smurf rape.
So let's see. He just blabs and repeats what Will Smith said. And don't get me started on those cuffs. Those don't look like cuffs that would chain you to a lamp. They look like luxurious jewelry that you would show off in your rich sultan friends.
All the best handcuffs are bedazzled.
Okay.
Well, they actually are bedazzled. Look, jewels and pearls and such.
Yeah.
I don't think that those are supposed to be cuffs that keep them imprisoned, are they?
Those are pleasure gauntlets.
Yeah.
I'm totally glad that I looked up Boss Logic. Check it out.
Wow.
Yeah, he said in one of the tweets he looks like Goro from Mortal Kombat. So
Mortal Kombat, yeah.
Well, now if they're gonna CGI the blue on him, why didn't they just shovel some money at Robin Williams' estate, cut and paste an animated CGI upgrade genie in there, and use the same voices? Because he does all the voices and stuff. I'm sure the script is pretty similar to the animated movie. They could probably manipulate his voice enough to just use his old lines to create the dialogue necessary for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would have saved probably half that money that they're paying Will Smith for this.
Right.
At least the wardrobe looks pretty good on these guys.
I hate to say this, but they look to me like what I would expect to see from an Aladdin and Jasmine walking into a Disney park, not a movie. Of course, both actors are quite talented, says you, as is the rest of the cast, again, says you. But this introduction to the three main characters are overshadowed by a more inspired Abu and Jafar. Let's take a look at Jafar. I do like Jafar's costume. It's cool.
Yeah. He should
Doesn't
be the
look
hero.
like JonTron enough.
Awful. Awful.
Well, you know why I say that, right?
Because that's his last name?
Yeah, John's last name is Jafari.
When you have to explain the joke, Quiz.
Yeah, I know. There is no joke. I got it.
So to make it like really, really comic booky, because that's what we do here at Comic Book Curation. Remember to like and subscribe. Although, based on tonight's stream as evidence, I'm not sure why you would. The Miss Marvel to relaunch in new series.
Oh
God, another one.
Hold on. Let me act surprised that the last one failed.
Yeah, I know. It's like Gay Iceman round 2 is set to fail. Everybody knows that. They're going to cancel it. Why'd you even try?
Oh, it's already canceled. They're only doing 5 issues of it.
They slated it to end at 5?
Yeah.
Holy fuck. Wow.
They're not even trying anymore. Marvel's just a gimmick company now. Like,
I mean, that's it. Some people say you're misinterpreting that it's like, except for the mainstay series, that they're interested in keeping the numbers going. All of the other series exist purely to be restarted for the #1 issue sales.
Absolutely.
It's not about that it's selling terribly. They're like, everything sells terribly. You're misinterpreting it. And I'm like, it's an interesting point. I mean, you'd have to be a fly on the wall at Marvel to know what they're thinking. But
it sells terribly because they're making crap, which makes them do everything as a miniseries. Because they're just writing graphic novels at that point. It's just trade paperbacks.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're doing them 5 and 6 issue runs, so they can put them in trade form and sell them there. Because then they could shuffle them off onto those ideological driven librarians and school people and make some money off of that. They don't know what they're doing. I don't think they've lost the Jim Shooter model somewhere.
Oh yes, some time ago, the magnificent Miss Marvel, and that doesn't like. No, ladies and gentlemen, that is not horrible foreshortening. That is actually her superpower. Sadly.
She gives Red Ronin handies.
Okay.
I believe the superpower is called Embiggen.
It's bad enough they stole a joke from The Simpsons, but they literally just beat it into the ground every chance they can with those giant man hands of hers.
Yeah, that's actually what she does, guys. Her appendages can grow or shrink or stretch.
Yeah, she stole Mr. Fantastic's power. That's all.
Basically, and people are and usually what she does with it, like the most common power stunt that she elicits is to grow big, huge fists, which somehow are supposed to be that like she has super strength, and like so she'll punch right through like a metal reinforced steel big ass vault like door, and it's like, I don't care if your fist is 6 times the size of what it used to be. You're still going to break your fucking knuckles. Like, it doesn't make you super strong just because you've got a big old fist.
Yeah, well, I would just imagine that it's just this meaty plap and the door remains the same.
Yeah. Yeah. But you see her doing it all the time. Like, like grabbing people to ensnare them, like wrapping your hand around them like Mr. Fantastic would do. Makes sense, but yeah.
Can you imagine her super arthritis when she's like 40?
She needs to lay off the salt.
Yeah, but she'll be able to hold a whole lot of cats when she's lonely.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
No, I think Miss Marvel could be a good character, but I would totally just change her power base. Like, if you want to have a Muslim's teen superhero, fine, but make it interesting. This character's boring.
Mm-hmm.
It
has nothing to do with the actual Miss Marvel.
Yeah, nothing at all.
Yeah, because I refuse to call Captain Marvel, it's Miss Marvel, and Carl Manvers has been awful since before she was put into the coma. She should have stayed in a coma and left her superpowers with Rogue. Yeah, I said it. Fuck all of ya. I don't care.
See, I used to like Miss Marvel when she was in the Mighty Avengers book back in the early 2000s. But she hasn't been good in a really long time because they just, again, don't know what they're doing. And they want to change the characters to fit some stupid agenda. But that could be a really cool character. And I don't think she should have taken the name Captain Marvel. There was a person that had that moniker. His name, he got his powers from a wizard.
And as he says Shazam, yes.
Yes, but there was also Marvel, which was his name, so just leave it alone. Just be Miss Marvel. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
And this could have been Kid Marvel or whatever, and given her some powers similar, but maybe slightly different or a little weaker to Miss Marvel.
Yeah. How does Miss Marvel even get her powers?
She's got like a blood transfusion or something from the Kree. She got genetics imprinted on her, so she's actually now half Kree.
How does she reconcile that with her Muslim faith?
Oh, the wrong Miss Marvel. That's the Captain Marvel. No, Kamala Khan is an Inhuman.
Oh, okay.
She got from. Oh, they don't go into details like that. How does she reconcile this with her faith? Well, somebody's gonna throw her off a building in reality. Come on.
Well, and then she'd just embiggen and go plap on the sidewalk and not get hurt.
That's disturbing imagery.
I love the positivity and the optimism here. Marvel Comics will relaunch Miss Marvel in a brand new series because the last one failed. The Magnificent Miss Marvel from writer Saladin Ahmed and artist Ming-Kyu Jung. Ahmed will take over from G. Willow Wilson, who was picked to write DC Comics Wonder Woman series. Wilson discussed leaving the book with Entertainment Weekly. I started this conversation with Sana, being the creative director.
Oh, yeah. The Marvel is a lifestyle brand.
Yeah.
Who's
really acting as like executive editor for everything that Marvel does. And the general branding of Marvel, because she talks in these broad ways about what we are doing as a company and here's the way we want to go and look. So it's like, she's the public face of Marvel in a lot of ways. The possibility of bringing someone else on about a year ago. We had planned up through the end of this year, which would take me to 5 years on the book. It's just so positive. This was coming out of a project we originally anticipated would only have about 10 issues, and I will leave having written 60. Anyway, when it gets to speaking with Entertainment Weekly, Ahmed praised the Miss Marvel character. I think she's really the face of everything that's new and fresh and exciting and 21st century at Marvel and with superheroes in general. To be given stewardship of this is a big deal to me. Like, it's just so, yay. Good luck. But this is just a good luck with this. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, but I don't think that they think so either. Do you know what I mean? And I think that they're pretty realistic about the possibilities of success for this book, or the low possibilities of success, I should say.
I don't know. I just get the feeling they're going to call you a bigot either way. But if they wanted,
I will be back in just a moment. Jack, you're in charge.
Why?
Okay, Quiz, you're in charge.
That's irresponsible.
Quiz, you're a host of streams. You're in charge. Yeah, there you go.
Sure. See, that's the thing, though, is that, Miss Marvel, she could be an interesting character. I think that there actually is a lot of room to write an interesting Muslim superhero character.
Yeah.
The problem is that this is really fucking lazy.
Absolutely.
You have to tell me that she was an Inhuman, and I still don't know what that means.
She's one of the Inhumans that live on the moon. Okay, they get exposed to this crystal. That's when the crystal breaks, it releases a mist. It's called the Terrigen Mist, and it gives them superpowers. Okay. They were an experiment from the Kree to create super soldiers, and it didn't really work out, so they just dumped them on Earth.
Well, what, did they abduct them from Earth first?
No, I think they were like bred in a vat or something. I don't remember. They changed it a few times over the decades. But they get exposed to this mist, and it gives them like a random power. And sometimes it can be something grotesque, like they turn into like fishmen or whatever. But they get superhuman abilities, and they're just kind of stuck with it. So when Kamala Khan got her powers, she wanted to be like Captain Marvel, Carl Manvers. That was her hero. So she got this embiggening power. I'm like, that's nothing like that. Yeah. Like, they treated it like the sorting hat from Harry Potter. Like, she could just ask the mist for whatever she wanted. And she got this ridiculous power that has nothing to do with Captain Marvel, so I don't know why she's named Miss Marvel. But yeah, you're right. The character has potential to be interesting, but they're not willing to go near the controversy that would result from talking about a Muslim questioning their faith, questioning their role in the world. They're not going to go anywhere near that. It's too much of a hot button issue. But there's a lot of good stories that could come out of this, because if she's devoutly religious, how is that going to reflect on her? Like, because now she's different than other people. What would her perception of her abilities be through the Quran, that sort of thing?
Do you think that it's because the authors and the artists nowadays are unwilling to court the controversy? They don't want to write a story that's challenging or would be, or at least deemed challenging. That they want to keep everything pretty safe and insular.
I don't think it's about the challenge of it. I think they're just not competent enough, because they're not good enough creatives to come up with the good story, because it would violate their own narratives by having someone question that. They would have to go against a lot of the social justice, soft bigotry of low expectations.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's another thing I was going to bring up too. Of all of these sort of social justice-y books, the only one that I've read to completion, and it was painful every step of the goddamn way, was America Chavez. And yeah, I know, pity me. And the thing about it is that with all of that going on, they don't. What I mean by challenging is the fact that they don't have their characters fail and grow in any sort of appreciable way. It's always very milquetoast. They always win. They don't struggle to to gain their victories.
No, because that would require them to be put in some sort of peril, which goes against their moral code. They have this unwritten progressive rules of conduct, much like the Comics Code Authority. Under the Comics Code Authority, you couldn't show like law enforcement in a negative light, things like that. There were a lot of restrictions that you could do, that you couldn't do in comics, and things you could do. But it was sort of a nebulous guideline. They have sort of the same thing, but it's much more adhered to because they're worried about their social standing. So they don't want to address these kind of things. They don't want their characters to be put in any kind of risk or danger. Plus, they see this whole thing as a joke. They don't really seem to care about comic books per se. They care about having that platform, having that social standing to say, okay, well, I'm in charge of this. And that way they never risk anything. There's no risk to be socially ostracized. I can't talk. And there's no risk of losing the medium that they now possess. They've got a foothold there. This is an objective they've maintained, and they're not going to leave it unmanned. So if one of them gets let go off a book for being too controversial, then they lose ground in their mind. So it's always got to be playing it safe and Orange Man bad, and that's the narrative line they stick to. Any kind of questioning of that could be seen as subverting the narrative or racism or something like that. At least that's how I see it, if that rambling tirade made any sense.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I was asking you guys before we started if you had been reading Darth Vader, and you both said you hadn't been, right?
Yes,
Correct.
I have not.
Yeah. It's not bad. It's not a bad series. I did, in going through like stories that I wanted to touch on in this stream, I kept noticing all of the clickbait that was happening. We agree that it might be time to retire the Bechdel test on the Mary Sue. And it's like, really? You're saying that on the Mary Sue, the Bechdel test? And for those of you who don't know, it's just, it's a thought experiment put forward by, doesn't matter, by Dr. Bechdel. She suggests that a film isn't representative of women if there are not two women in the film that are talking to each other at some point in the movie, and they're not talking about a man. Otherwise, and that, I mean, I guess we can touch on that article right now because there isn't much to say about it. Really, what it comes down to is that they're frustrated because you can have a couple of throwaway lines and pass the so-called Bechdel test. Where it's like, did you know the majority of Hollywood movies fail this test? And it's like, yeah, but if they're talking about a protagonist, it's like, yeah, but it's a man. And it's like, yeah, but that's, I know. And they're like, yeah, but that's
the worst kind of man.
Wonder Woman like barely passes the Bechdel test because the majority of the time, like they'll be talking about like the personification of war. We have to go after him, and yet it's a him. So therefore, they're talking about a male.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I know.
I was angrily shaking my fist. You just couldn't see it.
Man.
But I just, that's why I went with the title that I did, to be really clickbaity as a joke, because everything I read today, or half of what I read today, was all clickbaity. Things we saw today. We agree that it might be time to retire the Bechdel test. And the article comes down to say, because it doesn't get us where we need to be.
Mr. Dax, 2 girls, 1 cup passes the Bechdel test. You ain't wrong, my friend. You ain't wrong.
And they're riffing off of, on this Mary Sue article, they're riffing off of a Washington Post op-ed. Alyssa Rosenberg, that it might be time to stop using the Bechdel test as the end-all be-all test of feminism in film. Is that what Bechdel, who it's named after, is that what she suggested? No, it's not. It's not even close. She didn't suggest it was the end-all be-all of feminism in any way. Y'all did that. Social critic, cultural critic, pop critic, feminists like are all employed at the Mary Sue. You're responsible for doing that. You're the ones who keep bringing it up. And then Alyssa Rosenberg
suggests, term.
What's that?
Employed is a pretty heavy term.
Well, yeah, that are writing for the Mary Sue. Rosenberg says the Bechdel test doesn't even come close to reorienting the entertainment industry towards women's stories or subject matter and emotional tones that have been traditionally considered female rather than excitingly masculine. I'd be delighted to never see anyone connect with Hollywood invoke the Bechdel test again. And I'm inclined to agree with her, says Kate Gardner from the Mary Sue. I don't know. It kind of blows my mind. Does like it as it was employed. I mean, if you read about the history of the Bechdel test, like it's named after somebody who didn't originate it. It was originated as a thought experiment. It doesn't even matter about the history of the Bechdel test. What counts for it is the way that it's used. The Anita Sarkeesians of the world are the ones who popularized its use.
Yeah, and now you're getting it wrong is the big thing. Yeah.
And by using it as an actual test when it was never intended as such and wouldn't have even qualified as such. Like, what happens if you had a film that was about a monastery, and obviously all male monastery? And it's like, obviously that's going to fail the Bechdel test. Does that mean it's a sexist film?
Yes.
Yeah.
And filled with toxic masculinity.
2 girls, 1 cup passes the Bechdel test. Okay. And all 5 Twilight films pass the Bechdel test, and they call those incredibly sexist, that are full of imagery about bad relationships and abusive relationships and so on. So hey,
2 girls, 1 cup is the gold standard for feminism, Polly. Because they just eat shit all day.
Wow. Wow.
No, I don't apologize for that. No, fuck them.
So
you heard
proud
me
of you right now.
You heard me.
Yeah. It was misused by a comic strip artist and named after her when she had lifted the idea from academics who were just positing it as a thought experiment to begin with. Like, and all of those things taken way too far. Like it's the people that are complaining now, it should be retired and I never want to hear it again, are the people that are responsible for popularizing it.
That, sir, or hate. That is a hate fact.
Yeah. So let's go. I had mentioned previously the Darth Vader thing, which is what wanted me to start the clickbait thing. Does anybody care if I spoil Darth Vader 25? It's actually the first bad issue that I read of it. That's why I'm kind of disappointed. It's like, really? You did this? This seems kind of like fan servicey and unnecessarily. You're never going to shock my imagine. Marvel's Darth Vader features a first-time meeting we will never expect to see. Well, it's not a first-time meeting. It's
is it Chuck Wendig meeting the unemployment line? No, that's not a first-time meeting. It's not a first-time meeting at all.
You said his name wrong too. It's Cuck Wendigo. That way we can't get in trouble.
Anakin Skywalker tries to bring Padme back to life.
That's what? Very serious.
Resurrection is a thing in Star Wars.
Yeah, well, according to Darth Sidious, it is like Emperor Palpatine.
You're assuming way too much about my knowledge of the Stairwares extended universe.
Well, that's not even extended. That happens in Revenge of the Sith.
Remember which movies I've told you before that I had never seen.
Well, here's the short version of the story. Anakin sits down with Emperor Palpatine, and Palpatine's kind of like, the dark side's awesome. It's like totally cool. And
we can bring your wife back.
Yeah. And Anakin's like constantly like is afraid and anxious about losing Padme, and afraid, he fears that she's going to die in childbirth because he keeps having forced premonitions in his sleep that she's going to die in childbirth. And Palpatine like teases him with like, well, if you learn the powers of the dark side, you can learn how to resurrect people and bring them back from the dead.
Now, is that true, or is he just fucking with him?
Well, he's totally just fucking with him, probably. They made it a little unclear.
Yeah, they absolutely did. It kind of makes it seem like he was fucking with him, the way the script goes, because it's like after he kills Mace Windu. Spoiler.
Spoiler for a movie from 1999.
No, that was Phantom Menace was from
99. Yeah.
It was good.
Whatever.
8 years later for Sith. Anyway, it kind of made it seem like he was fucking with him because after he had already said, I will do whatever you want and I will turn to the dark side and so on and so forth. And I've killed like a whole bunch of children, literally, for this cause of yours. And then he says, I know if we work together, we can discover the secret of bringing people back to life. It's like, wait a minute, you don't even know how to do it? Like, it's kind of like, yeah, like he was just kind of playing with him. But anyway, here's the scene where they meet on like the Force plane. There's Anakin. There's the Padster, and it's, we have to go. We have to like leave this place, meaning like I have to take you back to the realm of the living. And she's like, why? I don't know you. Anakin Skywalker is dead. And she throws herself off the balcony and hangs herself with lightning.
Wasn't she already dead?
Well, yeah. It's like, not again. I won't let you go. It's like, well, no, she's dead.
Wow. I would have thought she would have shown up with Leon the Professional. That'd have been a great crossover.
So that's not again. I won't let you go.
That's kind of stupid.
Yeah. So anyway, it was disappointing. So they're otherwise, other than issue 25, Darth Vader's been a pretty good read. I'd like to see where else they go with it. I think that, I don't know, not the word fan servicey, but just kind of.
Did you start reading it because Chuck Wendig got fired? Or did you also read the Chuck Wendig bits?
I read the Chuck Wendig bits.
Were they good?
Yeah, they're not bad. He's not a bad writer. It's.
It's just insufferable online. All right, got it.
Yeah, I mean, how many people do we know between the three of us where, like, think about it this way. How many of your favorite writers or artists, like, that you've loved for years in comic books are you living in this constant dull fear that they're going to come out talking trash about Comicsgate?
Oh,
Yeah.
I have no illusions that every single person I used to like is a complete douche nozzle, except Chuck Dixon. He's been pretty good so far.
Yeah.
But if he came out and he's like, "Fuck all y'all," I'd be like, "Nah, I expect it."
Yeah, at this point, I really would expect it too.
I say, would you expect it from Frank Miller?
Yeah, but he'd probably be a little bit more of a drunken uncle type.
Yeah, Frank's been always like pretty not PC, generally speaking. So yeah, I kind of would be a little surprising in that regard. But I take most of the people who are aligning themselves with anti-Comicsgate and saying Comicsgate is a racist hate movement. Most of the people who say that have, like, the pros, I mean, have no idea what Comicsgate is.
Yeah,
a lot of them, the first time that they hear the word Comicsgate is when somebody asks them whether or not they support it. Do you support Comicsgate? And they're like, comics what?
Yeah, right.
You know, if you don't spend your life online, like on Twitter, following everybody that's in comic books, like if you're a comic book pro and you don't spend your life on Twitter, how would you even know what it is?
Yeah.
And
truth be told, they don't.
Well, I've cracked that joke before with you guys. Like, which rank of editor is it? Associate editor? Is it senior editor? Is it group editor that are actually responsible for making sure that these people are doing their work? Because if it was like back in the day, like where everyone was working in the same building in New York somewhere at Marvel or DC, right? And you saw them, like, you tweet 3 times an hour, every hour, all day long, from 7 a.m. to, like, you know, to the time when you go to bed. You have 3 series that you're currently writing or penciling or inking or coloring or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like you're already 2 days late with the first 5 pages, but yet you've been tweeting all fucking day long. You've liked X amount of tweets. You've retweeted these. Like, are you going to fucking get off of your computer and go work?
No.
Well, yeah.
That's why the work looks like garbage. I mean, most of these guys are terrible at their jobs now. Look at Mark Waid. He used to be a legend, and now he's just a sad, angry little man. So angry.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kurt Busiek, he used to be really good, and now he's just an angry, bitter man. Trump derangement syndrome is infectious within the comic community. They're just bitter, angry old people at this point.
In my mind, especially because they're in New York or want to be in New York.
Yeah, or they're in California.
Right. I was not surprised that Mark Waid lives in Malibu. That wasn't surprising to me.
How can he afford to live in Malibu?
There's Santa Monica. There's Santa Monica.
It's Santa Monica?
Okay. Yeah. Because he's rich, dude. He's got a bunch of money. From the good old days of comics in the 90s.
Yeah, I guess.
In the early aughts.
What is it that Ethan Van Sciver said about? He goes, diversity in comics sometimes makes this point that a lot of people, that everybody in comics is living broke. And he goes, that's simply not true. A lot of them aren't. It's not nearly as bad as he makes it sound for a lot of them. He goes, don't get me wrong, you know, a lot of the artists are. But the reason why a lot of these people are pissed off that have been around since the 90s, that have worked in the industry for 20, 25 years, is because don't get me wrong, they're getting 6 figures. They're getting like $100,000, $150,000 a year to be working, but they used to be getting that per issue.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Because you don't think they're upset about that? Believe me, they are. And well, that's an interesting point.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of money being thrown around in the early 90s, especially. That's probably partly why Marvel went bankrupt, because of their bad spending habits. But people like McFarlane and Liefeld were making a shit ton of money, and some of the up-and-comers that were kind of like copycats were making pretty good bank off these like low-tier books, like the Razorline books. They're making good money off of those. even though they're not as good, because the styles are similar. So if you had any kind of reputation, you were making pretty good money, but the industry's collapsing. So it's no wonder you're making less money. That's how it works. But that doesn't stop people from being bitter.
I don't. It'd be interesting to see the salaries that people are pulling in. I mean, did you ever see the video that Van Sciver did on what do comic book artists and writers really get paid?
I don't think so.
That was like one of his first 10 videos that he ever put up on YouTube.
If I saw it, I don't remember it.
He went through the whole thing about by page rate, and he goes, honestly, it's somewhere around $200 to $300. It depends on who you are and how long you've been working. Because the lowest it's ever going to be, I think he said, was $150 a page. And then if you're a really well-known artist, it's up around $300. That's why I tell artists that learn to do inking. He goes, I tried to learn to do coloring as well, so I could do my own colors. I'm just terrible at it.
Yeah.
Which he says, he openly admits it. I've always been a terrible colorist. I've tried, and it's just not my forte. He goes, but I learned to ink because I wanted that ink page rate as well. So, if you're getting paid $150 a page to ink, plus you're getting your $300, now you're getting into some territory where working on 2 comic books, now you can be actually living quite well, and you can afford to have a child and so on and so forth. But, so that's why I always insist to new artists that they learn pencilers, that they learn to ink and ink well. Because if you're doing both at the same time, you're pulling that wicked page rate. Well, that's interesting. Something you don't hear very often. But, do the math on a 22-page comic, which is how many of them are actually... How many actual drawn pages are there in a 23-page comic?
It depends how many panels you put in. Because anymore, they've been skimping and making panels larger.
Right.
And I think that's a big part of the issue, is that they're finding ways to cut corners. Because if you're not making as much as you were 20 years ago as an industry standard, why put the extra effort in?
Right.
So, and the other bonus of that is you could pad for the trade paperback. So you could take a 3-story arc and turn it into a 5-story arc, and then you've got a trade. So you just stretch it out a little, massage it, put some extra paragraphs in there, just like a college research paper.
Ouch. One of the bad parts about comics that they've become is that so you think about the Liefeld era, right? Huge double splash pages, and people criticized him for it. But now you see single splash pages that are just someone's face or just 1 or 2 panels. That's become the norm. It's not one weirdo Liefeld guy just doing it for the sake of, well, this is a super dramatic, dynamic fight scene, or at least in his mind it is. So I'm going to cover 2 pages with this wicked character reveal or whatever. Now it's just nothing's happening. It's just a person standing in front of a door and it covers a full page. And talk about lazy. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That are just trying to cut corners to fill pages so they can make it to the trade paperback. They don't, or they're just trying to cut corners so they could get their money and move on with their day. It's kind of sad, really.
Quiz, you still with us, sir?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. Just checking. We're actually going to run a shorter stream because I got stuff to do and I still have to pack. And I had to step away there because I got a phone call that I have to return now, but I definitely wanted to do a stream tonight. So why don't we jump right to our comic pitches, and we will wrap this one up. So who wants to go first? Jack?
I'm not ready, so you're going to just have to either wait 5 minutes or...
You're not ready?
I'm not ready.
What does that even mean?
It means I accidentally deleted the folder with the images on it.
Well, that's a fair explanation, I guess. Quiz, what do you got for us?
All right. My pitch for the last installment of Chapter Approved is written by Gordon Rennie, art by Carl Kopinski, letters by Gordon Robson and Dave Pugh, editors Mark Gassioni and Andy Jones, cover by Carl Kopinski. My pitch is... Wait, hold on. Let me just do it like that. Boom. And Cal Jericho, part of the Black Library graphic novel series. Cal Jericho is an interesting character. He's originally from the Necromunda series, which Necromunda was a game that Games Workshop put out. It's a small warband skirmish game, where Warhammer would have 40-something models at the very least. Necromunda would have like maybe 10. Cal Jericho was a named character among the underhive of Necromunda, and he's actually from Necromunda. He's the son of the planetary governor of the planet Necromunda. Necromunda is what's called a hive planet, a hive city. Essentially, they're continent-sized cities. And as with all sort of levels of society, there's good and ill that comes with it. So Necromunda, the game, consists of gang warfare within the city limits of the hive. And he's the son of the planetary governor, but also a bounty hunter. So he goes around into the underhive looking to bring in these dangerous gangers, and of course having the planetary governor as his father gives him access to better funds and better gear than some of the other gangers do. Because of his unscrupulous methods, he also has a bounty on his head too. I don't know how that works. I don't know how he can turn in a bounty while also having a bounty on his head. But it suffices to say it gets him into a lot of trouble. And then later on, because there's several comics that have to deal with Cal Jericho, but he's also later on in the novels he becomes an Inquisitor. Or at least party to an Inquisitor. So yeah, he's run the gamut of Imperial life. And I think it's actually a really damn cool series. The comic is in small vignettes, mainly because it was originally published in Inferno, and then eventually collected in a trade paperback.
Interesting.
How many pages does it run in trade?
57.
Okay. All right, Jack, are you ready yet, or do you want me to go?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to recommend Firefly
Nice.
issues 1 and 2. New series from Boom Studio. I'm going to show you issue 2, but issue 1 was really solid too. I'm not a diehard Firefly fan, and I was entertained by this. But if you're a diehard fan, you're going to really like it. The art's a little weirdly drawn, in my opinion, but some people really like this style. And the premise here is that they need some fuel, so they end up on this planet called Bethlehem, which apparently was in the TV show at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to escort these missionaries to a holy site, and they get attacked by some bandits. Well, over the course of the first 2 issues, these bandits attack, and it comes out that there's a broadcast from the Empire that Malcolm and Zoe are wanted. So, of course, that intrigues the bandits as well as the people they're with. But it intrigues the people they're with for reasons you wouldn't think. It's not about collecting the bounty. They're excited. They're like, you guys are bandits? You guys are wanted? Awesome. And of course, Jane's like, we should just rob these people.
Yeah, of course.
But it's a really fun Western theme comic, and if you're a big fan of Firefly, I think you'll really like it. As a casual fan of the show, having just seen it a few times, I thought it was a lot of fun. It seems to take place between the TV series and the movie. So
yeah, because Wash and Book were still alive in that.
Yeah. So worth checking out if you get a chance. I thought it was pretty fun, and like I said, I'm not a huge Firefly fan, but I didn't feel ripped off for my $4.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm not any sort of diehard, but I absolutely do love Firefly.
Yeah, if you like the show, you'll like the book. But it's by Boom Studios, and I'm starting to like a lot of their stuff. They at least make a solid effort to make it entertaining. They may not always succeed, but at least they're trying.
Yeah.
All right. And for my pitch, I have The Shadow, 1941, Hitler's Astrologer.
Nice.
This was, I basically pitched in the 1988 original, but it's available in a remastered and recolored edition, which is absolutely the way to get it. Because it just looks great. The original editor on it was the legendary Larry Hama. Pencils by Michael Kaluta, who also co-wrote it along with Hama. It is a great story. A lot of the Shadow stuff either takes place in the pulp period, or takes place in the modern era, like Shadow has survived up until the current day sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
This one is just a straight World War II espionage story all the way. And if you ever listened to any of the original Shadow radio plays or the old pulp stories, there was always mixtures of arcane stuff, people that claim to be magicians, so on. And this one being like Hitler's Astrologer, the fact that there's like an astrology mystery mixed into it as part of the spy network completely fits with the vibe of the Shadow in a big way. The story starts plainly enough. Like, what?
Was that written by Dennis O'Neil?
Yeah.
Oh,
co-written.
Yeah.
Co-written.
He's a great author.
So they run down the complete list of characters because this, it's a full-on graphic novel. Again, originally in '88. This is the 2013 remaster, I believe. So you got Lamont Cranston and then the whole cast of characters, including Adolf and Rudolph Hess and all of them. So yeah, just incredible spy mystery novel. Starts in New York, of course, and then goes all the way to Berlin. It's not what I would call an action comic, although, of course, the Shadow whips out his 45s and lets a couple of people have some cold justice with warm lead at a few points. Yes, but it definitely is and reads like a mystery graphic novel, a spy story, as Lamont, as the Shadow, is trying to find who's trading this information through New York all the way to Berlin and the Nazi high command, and works his way through and manages to kill a couple Nazis on the way. Actual Nazis.
Yes, actual Nazis.
That's right.
Does the real Shadow show up at any point?
Real Shadow?
Yeah, not Lamont Cranston, but the real one.
No, he's the real Shadow.
Nope. Kent Allard is the Shadow.
Kent Allard?
Yep.
What are you talking about?
You should read the pulp sometime, because Lamont Cranston just looks like Kent Allard, and Kent had blackmail on him, so he would let him pretend to be Lamont Cranston and use his cars and money.
Really?
Yep. I'm a nerd.
Have not been doing a lot of pulp reading for the Shadow.
Yeah, they changed it to him actually just being Lamont Cranston in the radio plays. Which
really?
Came after the pulps.
Yeah, all of the comic reading that I've done has been like Marvel, the Marvel series, and then Dynamite, and then the second Marvel series, and then the radio plays, and then not the actual original pulps. Definitely not.
1941's a really good recommendation, because that's a classic. Have you ever read the Howard Chaykin books?
I don't think so.
Oh, if you get a chance, you might like those. If you like the Denny O'Neil one.
There you go. The major difference between the pulp and the radio characterizations of the Shadow was their identity. On the radio, the Shadow was Lamont Cranston. In the pulps, the Shadow was Kent Allard, a world-famous aviator. In the pulp novels, Kent Allard was given up for dead when he became lost after his last flight to South America. Sorry. In reality, he's been in New York the whole time fighting crime as the Shadow. What might be confusing to casual readers is that there is a person named Lamont Cranston in the pulps too. He's a wealthy world traveler, and Kent Allard often impersonates him as his own secret identity, and when the real Cranston is out of the country. In the later years of the pulps, the real Lamont Cranston was rarely mentioned.
No shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just ran with Lamont as the guy.
Yeah, the comics just kind of ran with the radio play.
Huh.
Learn something new every day. There you go. We're educational.
All right, and with that is our stream for the week. So, final thoughts before we get out of here?
Go buy that Shadow book. It's really good. That was a great recommendation. Totally available on Amazon, too. Yeah, I just ordered one. Did you? Like, share, and subscribe are my final thoughts, by all means. If you enjoyed it, I thought this show would be a lot worse than it actually was because we were unprepared day after Christmas, and I've got a million things to do that I have to go get started on immediately. So, yeah, I'm glad it turned out as good as it did. Huh.
Well, okay, apparently not all of the comics are about Lamont Cranston.
Which ones aren't?
If you look at the DC Wiki, the 1973 The Shadow, published by DC, was Kent Allard.
Well, that explains it. I don't recall reading the DC series, any of the DC runs.
I say I have a smattering of the issues, but I don't have all of them, and I haven't read them because I don't have them in sequential order. So.
So, other than trying to drag the show out longer, any final thoughts?
I'm sorry. I was doing some research. Sorry.
No, Quiz has no final thoughts.
Oh well, so, if you're interested in any of the things that we're talking about, do some more research. You might be fairly interested with what you find, like we have.
Yeah, go on a little Wikipedia adventure down into the depths of nerddom. Just follow those links into oblivion. It's fun.
All right, and I am going to try and do my best to be able to do the live stream from Parts Unknown next week. We'll see if I'm capable of pulling it off. I'm not sure. Maybe, possibly. We'll have to see.
Bring that microphone.
Oh yeah. Pack my Blue Yeti on my suitcase.
Yeah.
But if not one way or another, I will certainly let everybody know. Thank you very much for everybody coming. As I said, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and have a good night, everyone. Hope you had a Merry Christmas as well. And I probably won't. Yeah, we won't have another stream for New Year's, so Happy New Year's as well.
Yes.
See you next year.
Bye, everyone.
Good night.
Say good night, Jack.
Good night, Jack.
There you go.